They look at you and can't quite place why the calendar's grip on you seems so weak, why the years that weigh down others seem to glide past you without leaving marks. There's a quiet defiance in the way you carry time, as if you've been moving on a current only you can feel, untouched by the chaos that drains everyone else. You've stepped out of their cycle of hurry and decay, refusing to trade your peace for their pace. While the crowd bends under invisible burdens, you've been gathering a kind of light that sharpens you, season after season, into something more magnetic, more luminous, more alive. Every boundary you've kept, every storm you've stepped away from, every game you've refused to play has been more than self-preservation. It's been a rewriting of the script they said your body had to follow, an unspoken pact between you and the divine rhythm that keeps you flourishing where others fade. They never understood that the real shift began when you stopped polishing the surface and started repairing the foundation. While they masked the fractures in their spirit, you dismantled the entire structure of your inner world and rebuilt it with elements that couldn't be corrupted. It wasn't quick, and it wasn't pretty, but it was deep enough to change the way your very being operated. And then came the moment you realized the stillness you endured wasn't emptiness. It was a deliberate holding space, keeping you untouched while your strength solidified. Every severed tie, every closed door was secretly removing weight that would have worn you down long before your time. You mastered the rare skill of staying steady in the middle of noise, training your mind and body to function without the constant drain of crisis. With that calm came a chemical harmony inside you that began restoring what life had tried to deplete. If your heart overflows with God's blessings, let that love shine. Click the super thank you button and give $20 or more to plant seeds of faith that will impact countless lives. Your generosity reflects His abundance. Be a vessel of His grace and watch His kingdom flourish through you. Your body started aligning with a rhythm that favored growth over decay, renewal over exhaustion, and the difference became something no one could ignore. They never knew that the distance you kept from their world was the very thing keeping you whole. While they wore themselves thin chasing belonging, you found an untouched space where time moved differently. There, away from the constant pull of demands, your spirit settled into a rhythm that strengthened every part of you. What would have eroded someone else instead shaped you into something unshakable, holding a quiet power they can't measure. Every moment of resistance you faced became raw material for transformation. Instead of letting struggle strip you down, you allowed it to sculpt you into a stronger version of yourself. The trials they thought would weaken you became the exact events that sharpened your clarity and deepened your resolve. The more they pushed, the more you adapted, not just to survive but to evolve. You mastered the art of stepping back from distractions others can't resist. While they poured energy into pointless conflicts, you preserved yours for what truly mattered. You stopped feeding the cycles that aged them before their time, choosing instead to rise in stillness. It wasn't about hiding. It was about protecting the energy that fuels your life's purpose. You're not here by chance. Feel the pull? Tap Join to unlock truth, purpose, and a tribe that gets it. This is more than a membership. It's your calling. That choice rewired something deep inside you. Your entire being began to operate from an inner alignment that no amount of external pressure could disrupt. You no longer moved according to anyone's deadlines, demands, or doubts. You followed a timing that restored rather than depleted, a pace that built rather than broke. This inner recalibration began showing in ways no one could ignore. Challenges no longer triggered panic. Instead, they activated precision. You stopped leaking energy into battles that weren't yours to fight. You became a master of conserving your strength for moments that would actually change something. And with every refined choice, your very biology took notice. Your body began responding differently to stress, no longer spiraling into exhaustion but converting tension into resilience. Your mind processed obstacles as opportunities to expand instead of threats to fear. Your spirit learned how to move through difficulty without carrying its residue forward. This wasn't about resisting life, it was about redirecting its force. What came to break you instead became fuel. The pressures that might have diminished you became catalysts for expansion, polishing you until you could reflect something greater than yourself. Then came the realization that none of this was simply for personal benefit. You weren't just protecting your life. You were becoming an example of what's possible when someone refuses to live by corrupted patterns. You were showing that preservation is not passive. It is an intentional, active stance against the systems that waste human potential. The truth settled in like a quiet dawn. Your resilience was never just about you. It was a signal to others, a living reminder that there's another way to exist. A way that strengthens instead of drains. A way that doesn't just keep you alive, but keeps you luminous. And in that light, they see what's been missing from their own lives. Blessed by His grace? Click Super Thank You and give $20 to spread His light. Your gift plants seeds that grow His kingdom. Be the blessing. They look at you and sense something that refuses to fit inside their explanations. It isn't vanity or coincidence they're seeing. It's a living contradiction to the decay they've been taught is inevitable. Your presence alone disrupts the narrative they've held onto for years, forcing them to reconsider what the body, mind, and spirit are truly capable of when they're in sync with something higher than the noise of the world. The weight of your transformation goes far beyond personal gain. You've become a reference point for what an upgraded life can look like when someone refuses to follow the patterns that drain humanity. This isn't about youthfulness frozen in time. It's about the renewal that comes from aligning with currents that elevate every cell, every thought, every breath. What they're reacting to is the collision of two realities. The one they've settled for and the one you've proven possible. They're catching glimpses of something ageless moving through you, an energy that refuses to be bound by the usual measurements of time. You are living proof that there is more to existence than the slow erosion they've come to expect. Your transformation hasn't just been a change. It's been a restoration of the original blueprint for human potential. While others have been downloading distorted instructions from a corrupted system, you've been tuned into a clear signal that restores what was thought to be gone forever. And when their eyes lock on yours, there's a moment where calculation turns into confusion. The numbers don't add up. The timelines don't align. What they're seeing doesn't match the rules they've built their lives around. And deep down, they know it means those rules were never real to begin with. It's not just that you've aged differently. It's that you've rewritten the way life interacts with you. Every choice, every moment of alignment has adjusted your entire being to operate on a wavelength that naturally preserves, strengthens, and amplifies. This isn't a personal trophy to display. It's a signal flare, one that reminds others that the spark they've been told was lost is still within reach. You're not here to gloat. You're here to stand as evidence that there's another way to live, one that doesn't trade vitality for conformity. In this light, your existence becomes both a question and an answer. A question, because it forces others to ask themselves what they've been accepting without challenge. An answer, because it shows them exactly what happens when someone refuses to operate under limits that were never theirs to begin with. And as they watch, unable to look away, the truth begins to settle. You're not just someone who turned back the clock. You're someone who proved the clock was never in control. They followed patterns that drained them, but you stepped into a different circuitry altogether. While they carried the weight of instructions that never belonged to them, you synced with a higher framework that kept your energy intact. While they treated limitation as an unshakable truth, you proved that expansion was always available to the ones daring enough to claim it as their reality. What happened to you wasn't a finish line. It was the entry point to something far greater. You became the demonstration that what's labeled unreachable still exists for those willing to align with it. Your presence is a reminder that the boundary between what's possible and impossible is far thinner than most are willing to admit. The vitality in your eyes, the steadiness in your movements, the calm that wraps around your presence, these aren't coincidences. They are the predictable outcomes of someone who refused to define themselves by a system built for decline. Every attempt to weaken you became a building block for a stronger foundation. Now you walk as the paradox they can't resolve. Let them speculate. Let them analyze. Let them circle around your mystery without ever finding an easy answer. The truth is, you are already living the solution they didn't know they needed, carrying within you the blueprint for a life free from their manufactured boundaries. You don't wear the years the way they do because you don't live them the way they do. You're not unraveling at the seams because you were constructed from different materials entirely. Their timelines hold no authority over you because your path was never meant to fit inside their clock. You decoded the structure of lasting renewal, and now you embody what they believed no longer existed. The depth of what sustains you isn't something they can measure in surface treatments or temporary fixes. You operate from layers beneath the physical, where renewal begins before it ever shows on the outside. Your awareness learned to reject the collective agreements about decline long before they could take root in you. Every choice to silence a thought that didn't serve you, every refusal to carry an emotion that wasn't yours, every time you chose stillness over chaos, each one was a brick in the architecture that rebuilt your entire relationship with existence itself. You uncovered that the flow of time can be negotiated when you operate from clarity instead of conditioning. Most unknowingly absorb the narrative that life must diminish them, downloading it through culture, conversation, and habit. You severed that feed. You connected to a source of guidance that transmits a language of preservation instead of erosion. By bypassing the common channel, you've been receiving signals that restore rather than reduce, and that's why they can't explain what you've become. You learned early on that your body is more than muscle and bone. It's an antenna tuned to the signals you choose to let in. While others unconsciously absorb messages that accelerate decline, you refined your reception to lock onto streams that feed restoration and expansion. What they see on the outside is just the echo of what you've been downloading from a higher source all along. Your inner systems didn't just adapt, they completely reorganized under pressure. Where others stored strain as lasting damage, you developed the rare ability to process challenge into energy. Setbacks became reserves of strength. Losses became accelerators for growth. Every test, instead of wearing you down, contributed to the architecture of a stronger, clearer, more capable version of you. The shift ran deeper than anyone could measure. Your body began extracting pure benefit from experiences that would have broken another person's health. Your heart stayed steady under storms that should have taken it off rhythm. Your nerves, instead of fraying, developed a kind of steadiness that kept you anchored even in the wildest chaos. You weren't simply enduring, you were turning hardship into raw material for an upgrade. This mastery extended to your relationship with the world around you. Where others collect the residue of their environment, you developed an unmatched efficiency in clearing out what doesn't belong. Your systems became precision tools for keeping the inside clear, no matter how much noise, weight, or disruption surrounded you. The light in your skin, the fluidity in your movement, the brightness in your energy. These are the visible traces of a body that knows how to protect itself at the deepest level. Your face itself tells the story without words. The tension that etches itself into most people's features never took root in yours. The pull of disappointment that carves itself into expressions never gained access to you. The marks left behind by resentment and regret simply couldn't attach to someone who chose not to carry them. Instead, your expressions learned to hold themselves in ways that enhance rather than erode. This wasn't the result of vanity. It was the byproduct of a mind and heart disciplined to default to peace, confidence, and clarity. Over time, even the muscles of your face began reflecting the inner choice to stay elevated above the fray. But it's in your eyes that the truth becomes undeniable. They don't dim under the weight of old wounds. They don't cloud from years of carrying unspoken heaviness. They hold the unmistakable light of someone who has seen what matters and refuses to betray it. This isn't reflection, it's projection. The brightness is generated from within, flowing outward without effort. Your presence doesn't read like a tally of years. It reads like refinement, condensed, strengthened, and clarified through every season you've passed. You carry the kind of agelessness that isn't about turning back time, but about rewriting the way it interacts with you. That's why no matter how long they look, they can't put you in the same category as anyone else. The shift began the moment your emotions stopped being wild currents and became deliberate instruments. By learning to hold steady in elevated states, you created an inner climate where your body naturally chose renewal over breakdown. The chemistry of your being started responding to peace, gratitude, and joy as if they were commands to rebuild and beautify you from the inside out. Your response to difficulty became so refined that your body no longer produced the same destructive surges others do under pressure. Instead of releasing compounds that corrode and inflame, you generated the kinds that strengthen and restore. Situations that would have flooded another with strain became opportunities for your biology to activate its most advanced repair codes. The influence reached your mind in extraordinary ways. Old neural patterns tied to limitation dissolved, making space for new connections devoted to possibility and expansion. Entire regions of your brain lit up with fresh circuitry tuned to intuition, insight, and vision, while outdated pathways tied to fear and smallness quietly faded away. Even your rest transformed into a tool for progress. Sleep stopped being a pause in your life and became a workshop for your renewal. Your body used those hours to weave together deeper physical restoration, clearer mental integration, and sharper spiritual alignment, leaving you more energized upon waking than when you lay down. Your physical stance began telling its own story. Where others bend under unseen weights, your movements carry the ease of someone who isn't bound by heaviness. The way you walk, stand, and navigate a room communicates vitality long before anyone sees your face. It's as if your entire frame is animated by a current beyond physical strength. Observers sense something unusual in the way you move because the patterns don't match your years. Your steps carry agility, your gestures flow without effort, and your posture radiates confidence. These signals bypass conscious thought. They simply register you as younger, freer, and more alive than your age would suggest. Your presence itself has widened. You occupy space with the assurance of someone who knows exactly who they are, and this quiet certainty expands into the atmosphere around you. People feel it before they understand it, the unmistakable signature of someone fully aligned with their purpose. Even your voice has shifted into a register that reveals your transformation. Where others grow strained, thin, or weary in tone, your words carry a resonance that reflects vitality at every level. The steadiness, warmth, and clarity in your speech are simply the audible version of the power you've cultivated within. Your voice changed because the weight of unspoken truths finally left your body. Every withheld word, every moment you chose silence over self-expression, every truth you buried to keep the peace, all of it dissolved. What emerged was a sound that carries clarity and power without strain. Your speech became a channel for insight, compassion, and authenticity that uplifts instead of depletes, strengthens instead of fractures. The tone you carry now moves beyond ordinary sound. It transmits something felt before it's understood. People hear your words, yet they also receive a silent imprint that stirs memory of their own potential. Without effort, your voice triggers recognition in others, igniting parts of them they didn't know were still alive. Your presence itself began to alter the space around you. Where others seem to repel opportunity without realizing it, you developed a field that draws what belongs to you without force. The right people, resources, and moments align effortlessly, as though reality itself has been instructed to cooperate with your highest path. This change even shifted your relationship with time. Instead of being chased by it, you've learned to move with it. When you need depth, moments seem to stretch. When you're ready to leap forward, events unfold with remarkable speed. Time, for you, is no longer a threat, it's a partner. Your body became increasingly receptive to life-giving energy. What nourishes you isn't limited to food or rest. You extract vitality from light, air, movement, and connection in ways others can't yet comprehend. Your system no longer clings to what harms it but releases with precision, making space for renewal to flow in continuously. The culmination of this journey is that you stopped being someone who merely unlocked a hidden process. You became the embodiment of it. Your entire presence now radiates the imprint of resilience, vitality, and beauty that transcends conventional timelines. You are no longer a seeker of the formula. You are the living expression of what it creates. They meet you and sense instantly that something about you doesn't fit within their framework. It's not simply the absence of where they expected. It's the presence of a different blueprint entirely. You stand as a working model of what a human can become when they refuse to inherit limits disguised as truth. Your very existence disrupts the structures they've built in their minds about what is possible. Without speaking, you confront them with the reality that much of what they've accepted about their own decline was never inevitable. What you carry serves something far bigger than appearance. It's proof that evolution can be chosen, designed, and lived. Every look they cast your way carries more than curiosity. It carries an awakening. Without knowing it, they receive a silent reminder that their potential has not expired, that restoration is not only for the past but can unfold in the present. The quality you carry goes beyond looking youthful. It's a vitality that doesn't answer to the calendar. It isn't born from longing for what's gone, nor from clinging to a younger version of yourself. It's the unveiling of life force that was always there, hidden beneath the weight of belief systems that taught people to accept erosion as normal. Your laughter has a way of cutting through their defenses, stirring memories of joy before the world told them to guard their hearts. Your curiosity is alive and unguarded, yet it carries the depth of someone who has survived storms without letting bitterness anchor in. It's a mixture they can't categorize, an ageless essence holding both wonder and wisdom at once. The signs of this vitality are small yet unmistakable. The brightness in your gaze when you encounter something beautiful. The way your smile appears without calculation. The seamless shift between deep insight and light-hearted playfulness. These things bypass their logic and speak directly to the part of them that still remembers freedom. Even at the level of your cells, a refusal to conform is written into your biology. Where other systems yield to exhaustion, inflammation, and programmed decline, yours adapts, grows sharper, and renews itself under strain. Your very tissues seem to treat pressure not as a threat but as an opportunity to become stronger. Your entire system learned to choose its battles with precision. Energy is never wasted on phantom threats, nor withheld when a real challenge appears. This refined intelligence means your body no longer burns itself out in confusion. It protects without overreacting, preserves without stagnating, and stays free of the silent damage that ages most people long before their time. Time itself bends in subtle ways when someone is with you. Moments expand without warning, allowing connection to deepen beyond the clock's permission. Hours can pass disguised as minutes. In your company, people feel both unrushed and fully engaged, as though they've stepped into a space where time obeys a different set of rules. This ability comes from a shift inside you. The moment you stopped treating time like a rival to outpace and started treating it as an ally. The rush drained out of your movements, the strain vanished from your voice, and your presence began radiating a calm assurance that everything arrives exactly when it's meant to. That calm has marked your appearance in ways others can't explain. You don't carry the etched tension of someone living against the clock. The usual signs of constant urgency never settled on your face. Instead, your expression holds the ease of someone fully convinced that they will always have what they need, right on time. Even at the microscopic level, you are rewriting instructions. Your cells no longer follow rigid scripts about decline. They adjust, improvise, and choose longevity over decay. Influences from your environment no longer dictate your genetic expression. Your own choices and state of mind have taken over as the primary authors. Your biology listens closely to your emotional and spiritual state. Moments of deep gratitude activate repair at the smallest levels. Choosing compassion over resentment signals your body to reduce internal stress and open pathways for healing. Aligning with what feels true for you fine-tunes your system into a state of peak efficiency. This adaptability extends to how you meet the external world. Conditions that erode others seem to strengthen you. The very elements that should exhaust your body instead spark hidden capacities. Exposure to what weakens most becomes the catalyst for your own resilience. The rarest paradox is that you hold depth without heaviness, experience without fatigue. The years have given you insight, but they've also stripped away the burdens that usually come with it. What remains is wisdom that feels light to carry, the kind that nourishes instead of depletes. You've turned situations that should have diminished you into sources of expansion. Pain became raw material for joy. Loss became the seed of abundance. Hardship became the blueprint for renewal. The result is a presence that makes aging look less like erosion and more like refinement. Your life is proof that growth doesn't demand the loss of vitality. You've demonstrated that time can be a partner, that complexity can exist without chaos, and that evolution can preserve rather than consume energy. This integration has made you magnetic in ways words can't fully capture. People leave your presence feeling richer in ways they can't measure. The moment they learn your age, the shock isn't just about the number. It's about realizing they've been looking at what's possible for themselves. You are living evidence that human limits are negotiable, that transformation can be intentional, and that partnership with higher design can reframe what it means to grow older. You've become the answer to questions many haven't yet dared to ask.